Hello, welcome back to the Board Games 4K YouTube channel. And this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a lot of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. So in this video we're going to be talking about a dexterity game. We're going to be talking about Flick Fleet, and in this game you are going to be assuming the role of a commander of an intergalactic fleet. You're going to be flicking your ships through outer space. You're going to be launching your laser guns and your nukes to cause as much damage as possible to your opponent that will allow you to win a game of Flick Fleet. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like, and we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Flick Fleet is worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down there, and we'll see you after this.
Board Games 4K.
So, Flick Fleet. How'd you play this game? So in Flick Fleet, you're going to divide yourselves into two teams. It's only a two-player game, so you're going to divide yourself into two teams. Right? One player is going to take the role of the Uprising, and the other player will take control of the Imperium. Right? So you've got a red fleet and you've got a grey fleet. Because the game is scenario-based, the scenario will tell you which ships you are going to select. So there's quite a few ships in the core set of this one. You've got destroyers, you've got carriers, you've got fighter wings, you've got bomber wings, and then you've got the mighty dreadnought, right? So you'll find that some ships come with an additional ship mat, and what you do, you'll grab the appropriate discs and you'll place them on the appropriate spaces on the player mat. And this is the way that those particular ships are going to grant you certain actions. The bomber wings and the fighter wings, they don't have a player mat because they can only do two things. They can only move and attack. But the other ships have got special abilities attached to different spaces on their ship mat. So in this game you're going to be taking two actions on your turn, right? So as we have already said, if you're going to select a bomber wing or a fighter wing, they're only going to get to choose between moving and attacking, right? So the first thing you're going to do when you set your ships up on a board, you're going to place a purple cube on each one of your ships, and when you activate that ship, you'll take the purple cube off the ship to remind you that that ship has been activated. Because with a goldfish brain, I can't remember what I've done and what I haven't done even 2 minutes ago. So each ship, when you flick them, they've got to be flicked from a certain position. So for example, like a fighter wing, because it's round, you can flick it from anywhere. But if you're going to flick a bomber wing, it has to be flicked from the rear side of the ship. So if you're going to take the move action, what you do, you just look at the appropriate diagram in the book, and that'll tell you where you've got to flick from, and you'll flick the ship with your finger or your thumb or with your nose or with your toenail or whatever you want to flick it with. No. And then the ship will fly off into the galaxy, and then you'll take your second action with this, which is usually going to be fire. When you fire, the fighter wings will fire with a D10. You put the D10 anywhere on the ship, and then you take your finger or your toenail again, and then you'll flick the disc, and then you'll hit the opponent. And if you hit the fighter wing, then you'll remove one of the rings, because there's 3 different rings to this. Once the center ring is gone, then the ship is destroyed and it's removed from the game. And the bomber wings are made out of the same principle. They are made out of 3 different parts, but these ones will fire a D6, and obviously you've got to flick it from the rear of the thing. You've also got to remember that the more pieces you've got in play for each one of these ships, that means you can fire once per piece that's attached to that ship. So the more you get hit, the more weakened these fighters become. Got it? So when we're talking about the big ships, the larger ships, the more dangerous ships, the capital ships, you will be able to select the action you want to take from the ones available on the ship mat, right? And what you do the same thing. You take the disc off and you'll be able to select one of these following actions. All ships are different. Some have more actions than others, but these are some of the actions that you can take with the capital ships. So you've got the shield generator. This allows you to refill 1 or 2 of the shield spaces on the ship dashboard with shield cubes. And you'll notice on the capital ships, you've got little spaces for little white cubes, and you'll fill these up. These white cubes, along with the grey hull cubes, are the first things to get destroyed. Once all of these are gone, then you'll start removing the action discs. And if all the shields are gone, what you'll do, you'll look at the result of the die if it hits you, and then you'll look at the corresponding die number on the ship, and if there's no disc there, then the ship will be destroyed. There's also a little rule that on some of the ships, if you roll a certain number, then it will destroy the ship instantly, and that is bad. So the second action that you can do is you can use your defence grid, and what this will do, you'll be able to fire 1d10 per remaining red disc on the defence grid location of the ship dashboard, right? So then you've got nukes as well. So this one, you'll be able to fire a d6. Because cubes seem to fly through space a little bit quicker, a little bit more accurately than d10s, these nukes are a little bit more powerful. So you've also got the fighter bay action, which allows you to launch a fighter wing, because when you start the game, the fighter wings and the bomb wings usually start inside the carrier, so you've got to use an action to get them out onto the board, right? Then you've got the bomber bay, you'll be able to launch a bomb wing, same sort of thing, same principle. And then you've got engineering, you'll return a disc that has been removed from the ship dashboard to its original location, or you'll be able to regenerate a whole cube, right? This action is always available, it can never be destroyed. And then you've got the engines, and this will allow you to move the ship by flicking it, right? And you've got to remember that if the disc that is associated with action has been destroyed, you ain't going to be able to take the action associated with this. So you've got to rely on engineering to regenerate that action. So you've also got to remember when you fire a weapon, if the die is out of bounds, if it leaves the player area, then it is null and void, it don't count. You can also ram ships, but you'll have to declare that you're going to ram the ship beforehand, because this game don't like sneaky little shits, you know what I mean? If you declare a ram, you'll flick your ship, and if you hit it, then you'll do damage. But the problem with this is, it's like a little bumblebee, that it will lose its sting, will get destroyed if it goes kamikaze. Okay, so the game will end when you have met the scenario conditions. All the scenarios have different conditions, and the first player to successfully complete these scenario conditions will be the winner of Flick Fleet. So what do we like about Flick Fleet? So the first thing that we really like about this game is it takes the principles of two of our favourite games. Well, I wouldn't say X-Wing is one of our favourite games. It's a decent game, but it takes the principle of Pitch Car, which is one of our favourite dexterity games of all time, if not the favourite. I don't think it is. I think Crokinol's the favourite one. But it takes the principle of Pitch Car and it melds it with Star Wars X-Wing. Right, and I remember playing X-Wing years and years ago when it was first released, I think 2012, thinking, God, I wish I could just, like flick these X-Wings, but I didn't want to upset anyone. I didn't want to upset them Star Wars geeks, you know what I mean? So I didn't do it. I didn't pick up the rugby ball and run with it. We just sat down there and we slogged through that game. But this game takes the principle of one of our favourite dexterity games, mixes it up into this lovely juicy cake, and lets me eat it. So the second thing that we really like about Flick Fleet is that the different ships equate to different actions, and that's a stroke of genius, isn't it? It's not just a case of, like in Pitch Car, that everyone's got this generic car and the only difference is the finger that's going to be flicking it. No, this is like different F1 teams have got different abilities and different actions, and it's up to you to choose the action that is most appropriate for the condition that you want to fulfill, right? So there's also an element of strategy and tactics in this game, not just flick, 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 but you've also got to think. Super. So the next thing we really like about Flick Fleet is the fact that because this is scenario based, this is going to be endlessly replayable, right? And you've got a few scenarios that you can get from the publisher's website, and they are actively encouraging people to sort of come up with their own scenarios. I think as this game gets bigger, badder and bolder, there's going to be more and more fan-made scenarios available. But like our Legends of a Drift system, it has elements of a toolkit that you can mould to your liking, and that is pretty good, isn't it? So the final thing that we really like and we really admire about this game is the fact that this game is built and assembled by some geezer in his garage. He's got hold of a laser cutter with all this Perspex stuff, and he manufactures this game himself. And the fact that it's quite a professional, well, it is a professional production, is astonishing, really, isn't it? But yeah, it is actually made by one geezer in his garage. We couldn't believe that when we found out. We thought it was actually sort of a publisher, a proper publisher had got all this one. But no, he even painstakingly goes through and actually assembles loads and loads of bits himself in little baggies. So what can we say? You know what I mean? That's absolutely amazing. So what don't we like about Flick Fleet? So the first thing that we don't like about Flick Fleet, this isn't a problem that is attributed to this game in particular. This is a problem with all tabletop dexterity games, and that is it's wholly dependent on what kind of surface you are playing it on. We have got an acrylic sort of mat that we use for a lot of space games, and the problem with that is that where it's sort of quite bumpy, it's textured. When you flick it, the ships either fly just too far or they don't fly at all. And we've played it on neoprene mat, which is not a bad surface to play on, but it's very difficult to judge how far you're going to go. We've played it on a felt mat that's on our gaming table. It doesn't work at all because the roughness of the fibres just stop the ships from flying. But you really need to find a decent surface for this game, and if you've got one of them tables with the slats that you've got to take off or something like that, then you can have ridges and bumps. This game ain't going to work on that, so you need to go and find a decent surface to play this game on. So the next thing that we don't like about Flick Fleet, and this is a problem that affects quite a few dexterity games. It doesn't affect pitch car, but we like to call this the Subutio problem, right? And as we said, like, this doesn't affect pitch car because with pitch car you're constantly going in one direction. But with games like this and say Subutio, when you flick your footballer or your ship, then you're going to end up in a certain position, and there's not really any way to get back to a safer place. Like, you think about it, if you flick your defender in Subutio, he's going to end up in a striker's position, and that ain't realistic, right? And when you flick your ship in this, the fact that you've only got one action left means that you're more often not going to fire, but then you're going to leave yourself open to attack. So there's not really any way of getting back when you've gone forward. Do you know what I mean? So the next thing that we don't like about Flick Fleet is that when we play this game, we've come across like a regeneration loop. When you use the regeneration action to regenerate your shields, if you're down to just 2 ships, then you've got a problem where someone's going to attack a ship, they're going to lose their last shield, and then as an action, that player is just going to regenerate their shield and then fire back, and then the other player is just going to regenerate their shield and fire back. So you've got this endless loop that can't be resolved. You know, we've read the rules again and again and again, and we can't really see any way out of this loop other than to sort of make up some sort of house rule or something. So that's not ideal. It would have been better had this been addressed in the game if there was an FAQ or something that's available. But once you're in that regeneration loop, there's no way out of it, and the scenario is basically over. So the final thing that we don't like about Flick Fleet is that in the core set, there's no rules for more than 2 players. We want to play this in a 4-player game. I was like, no, there's no 4-player option. Oh my God, that means it's just me and my kid. And the fact is my kids love this game, right? So they're all scrambling to try and play this, and we can't accommodate them at the moment. I think the designer is working on a 4-player variant or some way of accommodating 4 or more players, I think. But it's not there yet. So at the moment, I'm going to have to sort of basically rotate this game around my kids. That means I'm going to have to buy Nurofen in bulk. So to summarise, is Flick Fleet worth your time and bother today and in the future? And we are going to say yes. This is a simple yet effective dexterity game that successfully takes bits and pieces from other similar games and melds it into this game, which has got an element of strategy because you've got to be choosing your actions, haven't you? There is an issue with the rules loops, but I don't think that is necessarily game breaking because it is rare when it happens, and if it does happen, if you're aware of it, you could obviously house rule it out somehow. But the fact that the rules loop is actually there is a bit of a problem. But that being said, this is one of the best dexterity games that we've played this year. If not ever, it's definitely going to be in our revised top 10 dexterity games because that's our favourite genre. We love dexterity games. We've played quite a few. We've played the obscure ones, and we found this, and it's way up there. It's good for all ages. My kids love this game. They are clamouring to play this one all the time. It's scenario based. You've got endless replayability. There is an expansion for this one which adds asteroids and extra scenarios and a bit of scenery, and they have just completed a successful Kickstarter campaign which adds even more content, even more ships. So this game is getting bigger and bad and bolder. So we're going to give Flick Fleet 5 out of 5. It is a highly enjoyable dexterity game, that we are going to keep playing for a very long time to come. So there you go, that's Flick Fleet. Remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. And we will see you next time.